I've given this talk many, many times. It's somewhat the same, but always different. And I suppose today will be the same. When we first started publishing VectorVest, we published a little blue book. And of course, being a paper product, it was conformed the way we wanted to be, and normally people start at the beginning and page through it in the order that the pages are numbered. In 1990, one of our subscribers had a son who was a computer whiz, and his son came over to our place, and he said he noticed that the little blue book was printed with a Hewlett-Packard printer, which means that we created a digital signal and sent it to the printer. And he said he could take that digital signal and deliver it electronically. Now, this was in the early 90s. And you may recall the trouble that we had with modems and things like that in those days. But anyway, he programmed it, and so we had a digital product that we called VectorVest Electronic. And in those days, we only published once a week, and so it presented the data on a weekly basis, but you could go back in time, pick a week in the past, and pick a week. You couldn't go forward a week, unfortunately. If we did that, I wouldn't be here today. But it was quite a product. And we went to the 1992 Money Show in Las Vegas, and we were the only people there that had an electronic product. And so we had quite a nice crowd at our booth all the time, and we didn't think much of it, but that lasted for a couple of years, and then Windows came out with, Microsoft came out with Windows. And we created VectorVest Pro Graphics. And VectorVest Pro Graphics, of course, allowed us to reflect on the past via graphics. And it was an amazing development in our product. And to me, being used to the two-dimensional product that we had with the paper and the weekly digital, going into VectorVest Pro Graphics was like all of a sudden living in a three-dimensional world, because we now had the past we could see very easily and reflect on it. Having done that, there are so many things we could start doing with VectorVest that it opened up a whole new universe for us. Now, this was a blessing and a curse at the same time. Because the blessing is there were so many more things you could do with VectorVest. The curse was that people would get it and start fooling around, and they wouldn't know where to begin, and they wouldn't know what to do. So we started training and training and training, and still to this day, getting new users on the right path and having them have a good start has always been a challenge. So the first secret in using VectorVest is to keep it simple. We designed the product to be fast, smart, and easy to use. I didn't say this yesterday, but you may have noticed that everything in VectorVest can be force ranked. We don't give you a group of 100 stocks that we call number 1 and 200 that we call number 2 or stuff like that. And even if you go to Microsoft's internet product, MS Money, I guess it's called, they give you what they call top stocks, but they rank them by PE ratio or by alphabetically, stuff like that. That really doesn't add a lot. We try to add a lot with our sorting and ranking and capability in that way. So let's see the next slide, Kathy. Through all of this, we started with the mantra of buying safe, undervalued stocks rising in price. Yesterday, I mentioned how we came about to the rising in price part of it, because we were bred under the understanding that the best thing to do was buy them when they were falling because they were a lot cheaper. I will get into that later on. So when we say safe, undervalued, safe, and rising in price, well, how do you know they're undervalued, safe, and rising in price? And of course, this is what the VectorVest system is all about, and we talked about it at some length yesterday. RV is a long-term indicator of value, RS is a missing link, and RT is the most important indicator. It's like real estate in it's like location in the real estate business. And of course, we have the master indicator, VST vector. Now, when I first put that indicator together, I felt that timing was so important that I gave it a little bit of a plus up. And I took the plus up that I gave to relative timing and I took it away from relative value. So the coefficient of relative value in that vector formula is 0.9. The coefficient to relative safety is 1.0, and the coefficient to RT is 1.1. Because I wanted to see stocks that were rising, you know, to come to the top of the list as fast as they could and still be fair about it. I didn't realize how important RS was. And we discovered that only in the last 12, 15 months. One of the things we did for years is we would play the birthday game with our customers, or if we went to the money show, we'd have fun with people and we'd say, you know, what's your birthday? And pick, and we don't want to know the year, but just tell us the month and the day. And we went back a year or 14 months or whatever. And we picked that day, and then we'd run a test on the top 20 stocks, a quick test to the current time. And we felt very confident that those 20 stocks would end up showing a gain. And we did that for years. We ran one of these birthday game challenges with all our subscribers about a year and a half ago or so. Some of you may have been in it. I hope you were. Those that read the views, that is. Those that didn't read the views didn't know what was going on. But we had pretty good results here in the States, but up in Canada, they didn't have such great results. We ran it throughout our, all of our subscribers, Canada, Australia, Hong Kong, wherever they were. And the fellow that we have up in Canada, Stan Heller, he said that some of his folks told him they had better results when they tried that test with RS. So we ran the test with RS, and the results were unbelievable. Todd Schaefer, our manager of research, he went back 20 years using a tool that we call the simulator, and he ran over 4,600 tests. Jim Penna may have relayed this to you. But the results were unbelievable because 98.6% of those tests showed a profit. And then Kathy, who happens to be here today, she gave a special presentation on a trading plan called Long-Term Winners. And Long-Term Winners was based on a report that I wrote, oh golly, over 25 years ago, called Worry-Free Investing, because we started VectorVest in 1988, January of 88. And you may recall that in October of 1987, we had that terrible day they call Black Monday on Wall Street. And actually, I was encouraged by what happened that day because our system of anticipating what might happen using the buy-sell ratio. That was my primary key for measuring the health of the market. I could see that getting weaker in September, and it got weaker and weaker. And of course, the Dow Jones peaked in August 25th of 1987 at something like 2,500. There were people out there that was saying it would go to 2,800, and that was big stuff in those days. But it peaked in late August, and after that, September was not a good month, and I could see the market going down. And at that time, I was just pre-market testing the product, and I wrote some essays there where we were talking about, this market's cracking up and be careful and all that stuff. I never anticipated that Black Monday was going to be as black as it was. But I remember specifically the Dow went down 50 points on Wednesday, 100 points on Thursday, and 150 points on Friday. Well, 250 points in 3 days is big stuff when the Dow is around 2,500. And of course, it dropped 20% on that Monday. So we came out of that, reasonably well. We thought we had, warned the poor devils that I was sending VectorVest to, and hopefully they heeded what we were saying. But we came out of it pretty well, and I thought, if this thing could do that in a serious situation like that, maybe it's got a chance of being successful as a financial product. So we launched it in January of 1988. The second person that ever ordered VectorVest is still a subscriber. And he was a money manager, and he said to me, VectorVest makes me look smart. He's a modest guy, he's a good guy. But anyway, that's all behind this idea of keeping it simple. Let's go on to the next slide. But the point I wanted to make was RS is extremely important, and Jim Penna, our manager of retirement services, is I would say using a trading system called worry-free investing with retirement folks. And we are very confident that it is the best system for retired individuals to generate money from the comfort of their home, because we feel very confident in those stocks. Nevertheless, one of the first things you should do with VectorVest is build a watch list of your stocks. I believe it's the fastest, easiest way to learn the system, and it takes the guesswork out of managing your portfolio. You've probably heard time and time again in the last 2 days, you sell the low VST stocks at the bottom, and you buy high VST stocks showing up in a stock viewer. Of course, if you like, you could buy high RS stocks if you want more safety. And the thing is, it saves hours and hours of valuable time. I remember when I first started watching Jim Cramer on CNBC, he was saying that you had to spend an hour a week on every stock you own, studying every stock. And I'm sitting there saying, what could I possibly study for an hour on every stock every week? I mean, he doesn't say that anymore. But VectorVest gives you information. You don't want data, you want information. So we take the data and we crunch it and we turn it into information. So managing your portfolio, sell low VST stocks, going down in price, buy high VST products. And notice we put the sell first. Whenever we wrote anything about managing your portfolio, the first thing you got to do is think about what you got to sell. Because if you don't do that, you can't think about what to buy, because you won't know how much money you have to buy things with. So selling is very important.